Good afternoon. I'm Staff Sergeant Brian Nygaard from Marine Corps Recruiting Command. I'm here with Gunnery Sergeant Sara Pacheco. She's a Marine Corps Force Fitness Instructor Trainer, and she's here to take your questions about becoming and what it's like to be a Marine. So, good afternoon, Gunnery Sergeant.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So, Gunnery Sergeant, first question I always like to ask is, why the Marines? Why did you choose the Marines?
Well, for me, I come from a long line of Marines in my family, so Marine Corps was something that I always had my eye on since I was about 4 years old, something that was always in the back. I saw how my father was, my grandfather, just the values that they had and how close the bond was that they had with other Marines, and I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to have that bond and that brotherhood with everybody else.
Awesome. So, third generation Marine.
Absolutely, yes.
That's outstanding. So we'll jump right into it. What is it that you do as a Marine Corps Force Fitness Instructor? Like, describe what that program is and what it is that you do.
So the Force Fitness Instructor Program is a program that the Commandant of the Marine Corps came out with about a year and a half ago now. And basically the goal of it is just to build a more effective warfighter, to increase the overall combat efficiency of the Marine Corps. So my responsibility as the chief instructor of the program is to train Force Fitness instructors to go out there, to be able to physically, mentally, and spiritually create a better warfighter within the Marines and their unit.
Awesome, awesome. So what are some of those, like, I'm trying to think of the word I'm going to say, like, what are some of the first battles that you faced as a Marine, like internal struggles that you fought through?
I think the biggest struggle for me has just been fear of failure. I always want to succeed in everything I do, and I always try to be the best at everything that I do. So for me, the biggest internal struggle as a Marine, as a person in general, is just the fear of failure, the fear of not being good enough or letting my fellow Marines down.
Awesome, awesome. So you're from Ottawa, Kansas?
Yes.
That's right. So how about those Jayhawks?
They're doing pretty well. I'm excited to watch them tomorrow night.
Awesome, awesome. So you've been in the Marine Corps how long?
15 years now.
So up until becoming a Force Fitness Instructor Trainer, what are some of the billets that you've held in the Marine Corps?
So I was a chief instructor at the Staff Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, the Marine Corps Leadership Academy. I was a drill instructor. I've done funeral honors team, operations chief forward in Iraq. I'm a disperser by trade, so that's originally what I started out doing in the Marine Corps. I've also been a company gunnery sergeant.
Okay, and you said drill instructor as well?
Yes, I was a drill instructor 2009 to 2012.
Awesome, awesome. So a lot of those are pretty heavy tasks. Those are, a lot of heavy lifting that's involved in a lot of those things. What's the thing that motivates you to keep fighting through those struggles and those battles no matter what?
You know, I've been fortunate to be surrounded by great Marines everywhere that I've been. You know, I've never been at a unit where I didn't have Marines that were willing to go the extra mile or willing to work hard and really sacrifice for, not just for their country, but for their fellow Marines, for each other. So what keeps me going during a lot of that, because a lot of the jobs are very high demanding, very high intensity, require long hours, is really just the Marines to the left and the right. Because I know at the end of the day, no matter what we go through, we're going through it together.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's all about teamwork.
Absolutely.
So with that, how do you know when you've accomplished the job, when you've won the battle, and anything that you've taken on? Like, what is it that, gives you satisfaction?
You know, before I do anything, before I set out my own personal battles or my own personal goals to win, I figure out what defines success. What defines success in that battle, what defines success in whatever mission I have or whatever goal it is. And once I've reached what success is, once I've exceeded that, that individual battle has been won, but it doesn't stop me from going forth and winning other battles. Because I think once I achieve success in that one battle, once that victory's been won, then I need to go forward and increase and continue doing it. So battles won, obviously the achieved success of whatever the end state was, but just knowing as well that there is no ceiling to that, and I need to continue to push and continue to set new ones and win new battles.
That's awesome. So it's all a matter of just keep climbing the ladder, keep going up the stairs,
Yes.
to the next thing, to the next challenge. Have you ever had a time when since you've been a Marine, in which you seriously doubted yourself? If so, when, and what did you do to overcome it?
I think there's been lots of times in my career that I've doubted myself and doubted my abilities. I would say the first one, and probably most relatable to all Marines, is in recruit training. You know, growing up in a Marine family and having that long heritage, I went into that not wanting to fail, you know, which is my biggest internal struggle, but where I doubted whether or not I was worthy to be in that same place and earn that title, just like so many in my family had done before. So that was my biggest self-doubt that I really had to mentally push myself through. And again, I think that's something that every Marine can relate to, because no matter how ready you feel you are or how much you want it, there's always that little bit that in you that questions whether or not you have what it takes.
Absolutely. So, as a Force Fitness Instructor trainer, you know, what is a day in the life like for that? Like, what is you have a bunch of Marines who are trained to be Force Fitness instructors. What is the day-to-day operations of getting those Marines ready to go back to their units and make each one of the Marines more elite warfighters? Like, what is that like?
Well, the team at High Epic Marines, we start our day every morning. We're there every morning at 06, and we begin every day just like most Marine Corps days with a good physical training session to kind of wake up a little, build some camaraderie, some teamwork. But throughout the day, we're talking about exercise science principles and methodologies, and then we incorporate that into the mission of a unit or the mission of a Marine Corps and what Marines do in combat in specific jobs. And we teach them how to tie in certain physical activities to meet the demands of whatever their job is in combat. And through all of that, we tie in a lot of mental resiliency, a lot of spiritual resiliency, and a lot of character that's in there. Again, with the overall goal at the end of the day, knowing that we've trained these Marines one step closer to being a more effective warfighter.
That's great. So what would you say is like one of the craziest or daunting challenges or workouts that you will put them through while they're there?
So I would probably have to be the culminating event that we do, because throughout the entire program we teach them, let's build a foundation of fitness, and here's how you can progress your fitness level and the fitness level of the Marines around you. So the culminating event encompasses all of that. They have a lot of squad challenges. There's a lot of gear that they have to carry. They go through a 5-mile obstacle endurance course, and that's after completing an obstacle course multiple times while carrying weight through it, carrying casualties through it. So teaching them to combine the physical fitness aspect that we teach them, and then throwing in the character piece and teamwork and that mental toughness, it's going to push them past their perceived limits even when their body is saying that they're tired.
Yes, and that's what Marines do. We push ourselves past our limits.
Every day.
So you're also a member of the All-Marine running team. What's that like? Do you guys compete against other people? Like, how does that work?
That has honestly been one of the most rewarding things I've done in my career, just because it's combined, the Marine Corps with one of my greatest passions, which is running and physical fitness. So yes, I mean, we travel all over the country and sometimes all over the world to compete against other branches of service. So on the All-Marine running team, we'll also travel to England, and we have a yearly competition that we do in England with the British Royal Marines and the British Royal Navy. We have a challenge cup, and so every year it rotates, well, obviously depending who wins, on who gets the Queen's Silver and gets to bring it back. And then those ones that on the All-Marine running team and across all branches of service who are competitive and place highly in the events throughout the year have an opportunity to compete in the World Military Championships, where you'll actually travel to another country and you'll compete against other countries' military services as the Team USA for the Armed Forces. Wow,
so the trophy actually gets rotated between the three, the Royal Marines, Royal Navy, and us as well.
Yes.
All right, so what are, you say it takes you to other different countries. Have you ever traveled to other countries since you've been in the Marine Corps?
I have. So I'm not just for running, but I was deployed in Iraq. I was stationed in Okinawa, and then my time in Okinawa took me to countries all over Asia, the year and a half that I was there.
Wow. So you say running is one of your passions. It's not for me. What are, like with the All-Marine running team, whether it's practice or competition, what's one of the longest distances you ever ran?
So the longest distance that we compete in is marathon. So for me, that's kind of where I have stopped it. So 26.2 miles is the longest distance I've ran. In training multiple times a year, depending on what we're training for, I'll go out and run for 3 hours or 3.5 hours at a time just to prepare for whatever competition we have coming up.
Wow. So how does someone become a part of something like the All-Marine running team?
So first thing you have to do is just get out there and run and get out there and race. There's specific times that you have to meet depending on if you're male or female. We do compete in everything from a 10K cross-country race all the way to marathon distance. So we have times that are prescribed for each distance that we compete at. Every year there's a MAR admin that's published on marines.mil, and it'll solicit for members to join the team. And so basically they'll just fill out an application with their running times for whatever distance they want to compete at, or all distances like I do. And then the applications will get fielded by the Marine Corps Sports Office, and we'll reach out to them and ask them to join the team.
Awesome. And how long have you been a part of that?
Since 2014.
Likewise, with the Force Fitness Instructor Program, how does a Marine go about, applying to become not an instructor there, but going through that course?
So we run 6 courses a year, and to go through the course, basically they would just need to get with their unit's training section, and they'll be able to fill out a command screening checklist, and their training section will route that through the appropriate channels, and once it gets to us, they'll be able to secure a school seat. Throughout the 6 courses that we do, we hold 50 seats for each course, so every year we're training 300 new Force Fitness instructors through the Marine Corps.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So we've talked about Force Fitness Instructor stuff. We've also talked about the running team. You served as a drill instructor.
Yes.
When was that again? 2009
to 2012.
Okay. What is the process of making Marines? What was that like for you?
It was one of those experiences that I don't think I fully appreciated until I left the drill field, but it was definitely the most challenging thing that I think I can say that I've done in my career. You take a civilian who really doesn't have any understanding of the Marine Corps or just a very broad knowledge of what the Marine Corps is, and you take them for 13 weeks, and the entire time you're with them day in and day out, 24 hours a day, and you're able to transform them. And I think as hard as it was, and the hours that we worked and everything that we put in there, seeing what they were like the day that they arrived at Parris Island to the day that they graduated was phenomenal. And once I left the drill field and went to my first duty station after that, I was able to run into some recruits that I'd trained and seen them as Marines now in the operating forces, and seeing what they'd become and how they'd evolved and the great things that they were doing out there made me realize that every sacrifice that I made while I was a drill instructor was completely worth it, because they're the new generation and they're the ones that are going to be carrying this on when I'm gone and when I retire.
Absolutely. Yeah, they are the next generation. So we get a lot of questions on a lot of our social media platforms from people who are aspiring to be Marines. Some of them have already enlisted in their delayed entry program. They ask a lot of questions, about those first moments. Do you have any advice for anyone that's in the delayed entry program or thinking about joining the Marines as to how they can better prepare for recruit training?
First thing I would say is believe in yourself, because it is a lot and it's a big challenge that you take on when you do enlist in the Marine Corps. So know that when you get there, those first moments are probably going to be some of the most terrifying moments that you've had in your life up until that point, but you're not alone. I mean, the Marine Corps has been operating for over 200 years now, and we've been going through recruit training, and we've had it for a long time in the Marine Corps. So everything that you're going through, every emotion that you're experiencing, the self-doubt, the nervousness, the unknowing, it's something that all of us have experienced. And so even your recruiters, the Marines that you've encountered, that you've seen, while they may seem completely different or incapable of knowing fear, just know at one point that we were all there. And just like we got through it, if you believe in yourself and if you can mentally persevere through it, you're going to be fine.
Absolutely. It was 9 years ago today for myself. I stepped on the yellow footprints.
Congratulations.
Yeah. You were probably on the drill field at that time. So a question that we get from a lot of young women who are aspiring to become Marines, and that they would have for you is, Obviously you are, somewhat of a minority in what is considered more of a male-dominated field, especially, Force Fitness, Academy. Majority of the instructors are males. How do you, how does that change your experience, or how does that shape or mold you? Does it have any effect on you in any way?
I think it's definitely different because, again, like you said, the Marine Corps is a majority male, so going in as a woman, you're definitely the minority when it comes to. But one of the best things about the Marine Corps is that man or woman, we all achieve and earn the same title that's out there. So there have been points where it has been extremely challenging, and you do have to work hard because sometimes it is a struggle to keep up. But know that, the professionalism, the bond that's out there, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. At the end of the day, you're a Marine, and the Marine Corps takes great pride in ensuring that no matter what gender, any way that you go, that we're all treated the exact same way. So it's been very, very good for me. Not challenging so much in the aspect, but more rewarding, because being a female in such a male-dominant world and being able to do things and have the same experiences and excel in the same way as them, I don't feel is something that I would have got had I chosen a different profession.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once you're a part of the team, you're on the team, and we're all the same. With that, we have a lot of young women who, their parents are a little bit hesitant to, and not just them, but guys and girls, their parents are a little bit hesitant. What was it like when you told your parents that you were going to be joining the Marine Corps, and what advice would you, give to anyone else that's aspiring to join but is very hesitant because of their parents?
You would think that coming from such a big Marine Corps family, I've had families serving all the way back to World War II. So coming from such a big Marine Corps family, that they would have kind of opened it with welcome arms. But it was rough for them. When I was 4 years old, I said I was going to be a Marine. And so they all kind of, played it off as childhood dreams, but it was something that stuck with me. And when I finished my junior year of high school, I was only 17, and I went and told my dad, I said, this is what I'm going to do. Like, I told you I was going to enlist in the Marine Corps. I need you to sign the papers because I'm not old enough. And it took about a month for him to agree to be able to do it, because he was hesitant. He knew the things that he'd experienced in the Marine Corps, and he knew how difficult it was, and he wanted to make sure that it was something that I truly wanted to do and that it was in my heart. So I would say, you have to have those conversations. It's not always going to be the easiest job, and it definitely is one that would make a lot of parents worry, but even as much so, it's going to make a lot of parents proud, and it's a very rewarding career, and the benefits that you'll gain from it, aside from everything that the recruiters talk about, when it comes to college, just the benefits you make as a person and how much you grow. Just one enlistment in the Marine Corps is going to permanently change your life, and I think it's a positive that everyone who's ever served can say is out there. So it's understandable that parents would be nervous, but at the end of the day, the brotherhood of Marines and the band that we have and the bond that we have, knowing you'll always be taken care of, is something they can definitely find comfort in.
Absolutely. So I got a great question here. How do you improve your cardio?
So there's a lot of different things. You have to be able to incorporate different methods of training into what you do. So improving your cardio is going to be a combination of actually doing some kind of aerobic activity, but actually incorporating strength training into it as well. So even though I'm an avid runner, I'm still working out and doing strength training 5 days a week at the minimum to be able to maintain and just throwing that in there. So it's a combination of everything. It's not just getting out there and doing some kind of running.
Okay. We have a Facebook user that's asking, what time do you wake up in the morning? And I guess they're trying to create a workout routine that, that's based off of that, getting up super early. Is that what you do first thing in the morning, is you wake up and you go and work out?
Most days that's what happens. So my alarm generally is permanently set at 4:30 in the morning, so I can try to get something in before my students come in at 6:45 every morning.
Wow, 4:30, sleeping in.
It's
we have someone asking, what is the process of becoming a drill instructor? I think that's probably trying to not only apply for that, but also maybe some of the training that you went through.
So to be a drill instructor, there's definitely a lot of requirements. So you have to have been in the Marine Corps for at least 4 years and on your second enlistment, and they ask that you be at least 22 years old, which would put you past your 4 years old, just because it's a very high demanding job and you need to be emotionally mature and have experience as a Marine to be able to train others to be Marines. You have to be physically fit. Physical fitness levels, you need to have at least a first class PFT and CFT, and you also need to possess high moral character is one of the things they have. Once you fill out a checklist that encompasses all the attributes required to be a drill instructor and you get selected for it, you'll attend drill instructor school at either Paris Island or San Diego, and you go through training for 11 weeks, and it's almost like a second boot camp again, but now you're going through everything to learn how to train civilians and turn them into Marines. So it's very physically demanding. A lot of days, it's 6 or 7 days a week. Again, very early mornings, late nights, homework, lots of homework that's involved in that, just to be able to mentally challenge you. And there's a lot of things that you're gonna have to do on a daily basis that you're not gonna be able to refer back to anything. You're going to have to react on the fly. So there's a lot of realistic training involved, and again, it was almost like going through boot camp for a second time.
Wow, that is crazy, but I imagine it was very rewarding.
Absolutely.
So you have a user that's asking, what is the main thing that you personally try to instill in all the students that you have over at the Force Fitness Academy?
I would say work ethic and just knowing that at the end of the day you've always done the right thing. I think our moral compass is kind of what guides us, and at the end of every day you have to be able to say, did I do enough for myself? Did I do enough for others? Did I do enough for the Marine Corps? Did I make the Marine Corps proud of me? Did I do proud enough justice to the name, that I wear on my right breast pocket as well as the name I wear on my left breast pocket? And so that's really it. At the end of the day, your character and your work ethic are gonna speak of you. And as long as you can always say that you went out there and you did your best and you always strive to do the right thing, it's gonna speak volumes of you, and people will remember that.
Absolutely. So I have a lot of people who I'm assuming are aspiring Marines, people that are aspiring to become Marines that are asking this, and we get it all the time, is how do you increase your pull-ups? In order to ship to recruit training, you have to do a minimum of 3 pull-ups now, everybody. So what is it that you do in order to keep your pull-ups high?
So I do a lot of strength training with weights. So without going into too much detail in it, because this is something I could talk all day about. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, you have to attempt to do pull-ups and try to do pull-ups and become familiar with that motion and the muscle memory, but realize that there's a lot of muscles that are involved in doing the pull-ups. So don't be afraid to go to the gym, lift some weights, work out. I mean, you use your back, your biceps, your triceps, your chest, your core. Make sure you're just hitting a balance of all of those exercises within those muscle groups, and then get out there and do some repetitions on the pull-up bar. And I think faster than anything, you'll see results that way. And just remember, the first pull-up's always the hardest. I remember when I made a goal to try to do pull-ups for myself 8 years ago, I couldn't do one. And when I got out there and started training with weights and actually attempting to do pull-ups, the first one took me a long time. And so it's easy to get discouraged, but don't be discouraged by that. But once you get the first one, you'll realize that they'll come very quickly after that, and then you just have to maintain once you get to that point.
Real quick, how many can you do right now?
22 is my most I've ever done.
Wow. This is the last question that we have for today. Let's say someone has just enlisted in the Marine Corps, and they're waiting to go recruit training. What advice do you have for them?
I would say physically get yourself ready, because that's always going to be something to do, but then always just make sure that all of your affairs are in order at home. Say bye to mom and dad, hug and kiss the loved ones, and make sure that you've taken care of everything you need to, so when you check in there to Paris Island or San Diego, mentally you're able to devote everything that you have to it. And again, like I said before, just believe in yourself. Know that it will be difficult, but know that if you just push through it, you'll be able to succeed.
Awesome. Well, Gunnery Sergeant, thank you so much for being here. That's all the time that we have for today. If you have any more questions, feel free to keep on commenting. We'll try to get to them with a written response. And if you'd like to talk with a recruiter, you can visit our website at www.marines.com. Thanks, and have a great day.